chill, queen. Let them wait for the reveal, sing. Now I'm about to put me in multiple spots. It's lyrical pox in your grill, meaning I'm ill. I will not yield. I am from Southside of DC. That means I only know how to go until I'm on a marquee getting properly built. Cause stop being a part of my stock on my bill, no ma'am. I'ma keep this campaign up till rock for prayers and grains. The popular trail slogan, that's word, goddamn, see. I want you to levitate. My shit don't just medicate. One no quote, got a vocally abstaining for rap, they grammatically celebrate. I'll hydroxy cut these lightweight MCs to a suitable size. I'm approximately 1/4 human, the rest is unidentified. I'ma take up every white space with some black characters, reversing to fight. Embodying any gotta take it out from me, I keep the hearses outside. Beware, real rap run through my veins, I'm either a female form. Y'all might get ghetto, I got this shit sonically leaked to the retail torn. See, y'all won't win, trying to box me in, I'm out of it like G-form. And even my mumbles like rumbles and concrete jungles, yo, this is your porn. This is for real, my crew is a very big deal. Everything we crave is 24K like the gold inside my grill. I can't reveal my sources, might be a real rap sources. Look at your fusion, not what you used to, huh? We come over your whole damn meal. Got it, gang, gang, gang. 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 You ready? Mama said I could be anything. That was the dope part. But I grew up planning my dreams is downstream from the dope spot. And I'm a descendant of the kings and low-key fiends of the coke. From streets where the police beat with the holy skin is the color of mocha. Hear me out. I've been through too much and I'm too grown to play around with y'all. Now I'm a wild lad every chance I kick my rhyme, the lip be so animal. Every vet I see sick of much too please for the next breed of these amateurs. They scared of this black girl magic. My heritage packed well baggage. I learned this fly shit from my DNA to a T. I say rock snapping. Beauty irrelevant. This is not pageants. I'm a rap dragon. Every time I open my trap is fine. Your outlook ending up tragic. Trust me. I do this for MLKF, for homies with criminal past. This middle of passage, rhythmic mash, a bridge of adrenaline, intergalactic, amen. Bars laden with alien cadence, preying on enemy flags, just mayhem. My shit have been down since day one, ready to take on the planet. Segue, 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 segue. This is for real, my crew is a very big deal. Everything we crave is 24K like the gold inside my grill. I can't reveal my sources, might be a real rap sources. Look at your future, not what you used to, huh? We come over your whole damn meal. Got it, gang, gang, gang. Got it, gang, gang, gang. Got it, gang, gang, gang. Got it, gang, gang, gang.
Oh, yeah. Peace, everybody. It is the guy with the bow tie checking in with you live for another edition of Business of Benefits. To my right, you will see the amazing Rachel Beck. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I found my bow tie for you. So very excited about that.
There's only been a handful of people, like 2 other people, I think, that have done that in the history of the show, so I appreciate that. I want to say thank you to Hashtag Team Live, Hashtag Team Replay. Let us know in the comments below where you're watching from. That song was a verse from Ciroc called Goddess Gang. And I think because you always represent for women, I wanted to play a song about the goddesses out there. So again, I'm Daryl Perry, the guy with the bow tie. You guys know me from the show, but I want to introduce Rachel for those that don't know who you are. So Rachel, let the people know your gift for the world right now.
What I'm trying to do is light up other people. What I'm trying to do is shine a light on my network and to teach people that their path to success is through selfless behavior. That's truly what I'm trying to do right now.
I love it, the selfless behavior.
Yeah, to go through that path, because that's going to be the key to their success. That it's about, I keep telling people, like, the more you give, and you do it from, and if you're coming from a heart place, the doors will open for you. That's what.
And that's a good place to start, I think, right now, because we're dealing with as many years since, the lockdowns happened with COVID-19. So there's this element we're dealing with that people are worried about themselves a lot because obviously stuff's different. But then there's also an element of helping people. So for the folks that are kind of in the situation of a year going through this, what's your thought process on how to kind of help them shift their mind to, I need to be more selfless and more kind, even though I'm kind of struggling?
Well, the first thing is like I tell my network all the time, they're not alone. And then that is a huge thing that people are feeling right now. They're feeling that like they're alone. They need more empathy. I know what's going on with them, the stories behind the scenes. And so if they're feeling alone, and yes, you can because it's survival, right? It's survival of the fittest. You need to do what you need to do to make a living, to take care of your family, and I understand that completely. But when you come together, and I keep explaining to people that LinkedIn is a family and it's a community, and that's something that you and I are well aware of, that people might obviously not.
All right, perfect. I'm fixing some sound here real quick for you. There we go. I heard a little sound issue I was fixing real quick. So the empathy, I know you talked about this. You have a large following, and people sometimes don't have empathy. Like you're just a following and not a person. It seems like because people will go through tagging or messaging instantly saying, "Hey, like my post," and all these kind of things like that. So have you seen that really unfolding a lot in the last year? People are lacking empathy in their social presence.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us on this platform trying to spread kindness, respect, empathy, because we know that this is what people do well. And I try to give, I believe in educating my network, right? Mm-hmm. So I got them tips, because nothing makes me happier now than seeing them succeed. And that's where the family club comes in. That's why it's important for us to come together, support each other, and to realize that somebody else's success has nothing to do, takes away nothing from you. There's definitely, you and I were discussing this, there's a problem with tagging, there's a problem with dropping the post into DM. That's a huge one. I've been trying to tell my network that. You can build resentment.
Yeah.
You can hurt that relationship. You can end up burning a bridge with somebody. It's come to the point that the over tagging, I've stopped showing up to people who are tagging. Because that's what happened. I mean, I'm being honest. Like that's what happened. I stopped showing up. There's somebody who tagged me 10 times in a 24-hour period. So
10 times?
Yes. So to me, that means it doesn't matter about the other people who are looking for help that I'm trying to get to. You and I are one person. There's only so much we can do in a 24-hour period. So if I helped you once and then going to the next person who needs help. Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, I've noticed, and I've been noticing now. I get random tags for stuff that people just don't even, it's nothing that's in my vein of what I do or anything, which is flattering at first to a certain degree. Like, okay, you think I'm important enough to tag me on something, but when it's 10 times in one day, that's definitely lacking empathy. So do you think we're just getting more selfish as a people sometimes? That's kind of the side effect of what's going on. We're getting more selfish.
What I've seen is in the last year, and I don't know if it's because of people trying to stand up on their own 2 feet. I've seen a lot more entitlement, and so I'm trying to shift the attitude of entitlement to attitude of gratitude. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to turn that around. Does that make that illusion again?
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's what a good comment we had from the audience. We had Brett Scott said, "You both look so dapper."
Thanks. Straight out the boat, I had
it. And then Jazz said, "Hello, everyone. Thanks, Jazz, for jumping in here."
Hi, thank you.
And then a friend of mine, Marlon Edison, Team Live, representing from Brick City in Jersey.
Hi, Marlon. I love Jersey. Huge fan of Jersey.
Yep, I got family there. And then you mentioned this attitude of gratitude. It's definitely important that when people hear it all the time, but share other people how that's translated to your business, because you do a lot of different things, and some people don't quite get that for business. They think I got to close for the sale, I got to market, I got to do these things. They don't really think about giving. So how is that kind of transform you going from photography into being an author and everything else you're doing?
You know what? I did the photography business for 10 years, and then retired, went back to school in my 40s, finished my university degree. And the idea of the book actually came from a really good friend of mine. I met her in India. She traveled back with me on another trip. And she had called me one day and she said, "I believe that you have a really powerful story, and I feel like you need to share it." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Not right there. Like, it's not, my degree is, I minored in psychology and I minored in gender studies. So she planted that seed. I sat down the first day and started writing 5 hours a day, and I wrote my book from August to October, writing 5 hours a day.
Okay.
And now I help other authors, they call and say, like, how do I even get started, or they're overwhelmed, or they want to learn how to get a publisher. So I help them with that too. How to open those doors, what they need to know. Because if you're gonna publish with a publishing company, that is a very big process, and you need to know how to do it. If you're gonna submit a manuscript, if you're gonna self-publish, I chose a publishing company. So these are different things I'm trying to help authors out. I'm trying to help people who are launching businesses. I'm trying to help people who are brand new to social media, and kind of take them under my wing and help them and mentor them.
Okay, and that's helped you have reach. 'Cause I think people kind of forget kind of like on the airplane when they say help somebody else before you help yourself kind of situation. That's basically translated to you having business because you've done more than was expected, and people kind of say, okay, Rachel's someone I want to know, and I want to work with you. And it kind of is interesting because people are hurting right now because of COVID. It's a challenging situation, so there are stories you see of somebody, paying somebody's grocery bill in the line in front of them, and they don't have the money. Giving, donating time and things of that nature. So there are good spots of that, but there's also the downside of all these isms we see online and people not really respecting each other still kind of happening. And you and I was talking about that. It's interesting on LinkedIn, you still see it happen, but you have an interesting story of dealing with the religious side of it and the racial side of it. So as you see, LinkedIn's kind of evolving in the last couple of years. What are some words of wisdom you can give for people that are experiencing these isms on this platform, even though it's professional? What are some words of wisdom you can share with those people to kind of help to either combat it or deal with it?
It comes down to this. This is a global platform. You hear many different religions, you hear many different cultures. And I look, so like you had a post and stuff, something negative for me would be good turn out. We need to respect people's cultures and religions. Period. That is it. And if I was even thinking about referring somebody, and they had said it in a kind comment to a racist comment in the post, I would never work with this person. I would never refer them. So it's how people are showing up every day in the comment section. I'm a very loyal friend, so that's pushing me. So I look to see the way people are speaking to my friends. I go through their posts. And it's like, are they being kind? Are they being respectful? Those are things I look for.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I think people forget that. Like like Clubhouse is the new flavor of the week right now, and that you can't do that. Like once you're on Clubhouse, the content's gone. But it's interesting you mentioned that because I mistakenly referred to somebody like a year and a half ago and didn't realize he was kind of racist and he's a black guy, but he was racist about black people supporting black people. And I didn't know it at the time because I didn't go through everything. I know we had some good messages in the DM, but I didn't research the stuff he actually puts online. So I think it's important for all people to remember that whatever you put on post, people see that. So one, don't have the mindset to even do that. But if you have the mindset to say something with the ism, you probably shouldn't post it. And maybe that's the issue that you and I kind of work through. We talk to people and ask them questions about it, but it's kind of frustrating. And we're in Women's History Month. So obviously you have to deal with, things that we shouldn't have to deal with all year, but, this month has an extra focus on it. So as a, woman author, woman photographer, how do you feel about the progress we're making for women being respected more so in the workplace and being kind in the workplace?
Oh, my friend, I can share so many stories. Many, many, many reasons why I work with myself. Let's just put that. There are many, many reasons because I choose who I work with, who I want to work with, and if they're not, advocates of women, I'm okay turning it down and going to the next person. I still think there's a lot of work to do. I can show you a couple. When I was a photographer, I would show up somewhere to take photos, right? And a comment would be, "Oh my gosh, you're a woman doing this job," and I would just look at them and go, "Yeah, I'm a woman doing this job." And I would do things. So that stuff still very much exists. And I would do the job, get it done, and then go, "Oh, you were able?" I'm like, "Yes, I was able to complete that job." So I'm gonna use my voice as a woman. Right. I'm not gonna shy away from that. So yeah, it's still definitely a problem. I've had other things where like, "Oh, this is a big pet peeve. Sweetie, are you sure you can do that?" But it's the most condescending. I can't that one too. And in a meeting, I was in an international meeting, at one time, a couple of years back. And it was very quiet room, but I was in the back room. But no one knew the reason why I was there except my friend from London. I'm not going to share publicly why I was there. But I had the answer to the situation, right?
Yeah, that's sad that still happens, though. I mean, to have people to sweetie and stuff like that.
It was ridiculous. And so, like, I sat, we all spoke, and then finally my friend from London said, why is she talking to Rachel? Well, does she know about this? And my friend said, she has the answer to this. She's actually very involved with this project. And he didn't know the other part. So once the guy found out what I was doing in the project, he got very quiet. And then, like, flipped completely. So when
that just bothers me because I mean I have daughters and you know it's just sad to think in 2021 you even have to deal with that 5 years ago.
I have a father that bothers him too. My father is a businessman, and it absolutely bothers him that his daughter's doing with us. So I'm trying to teach people that it's not okay. I'm trying to teach people. Let's say you and I have a meeting for 4 minutes, and I'm deciding whether to work with you, to hire you, to bring you in. How important do you think that first impression is? That first impression to me is everything.
Yep.
It's huge. So any guy that had been sitting in that international meeting, except my friend, would I refer them? No, the first impression was that how could she not be so
I think that brings an interesting point you mentioned too, though. The first impression, people focus on that and they can be very kind in that first impression, and then say, okay, that's done. Now I could be back to being me, and not really do the real work of changing their personality and kind of adapting. Because that's where I see an issue with, you know, social media is a good example. Social media can kind of show off as a certain person in your avatar and in your content to a degree, and then people get you in a Zoom call and they're like, oh, you're totally different. We're like, well, I did the first impression thing, so that kindness thing. I bet from your experience, you notice that kindness permeates all parts of their life, not just business, but the lack of kindness permeates the personal life, the romantic life, everything. Would you say that's probably true in your experience?
Yeah, I just had recently. Yes, I'm going to say yes on that because I just had an experience recently where people there's that times where people are kind in front of other people, and then they're a totally different person behind the scenes, and that's something that I always find very interesting. And I'm like, you just put this message out into the world, but that's not at all what who you are.
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's really important for people to know.
Definitely true.
Yeah, I've known you for over a year and a half. Who you are, Daryl, is who you are. Like I've
right.
Yeah, like that's who you are. So when it comes to business, I think it's really important. I think it's extremely important. I think it's extremely important right now. The market is flooded with applications. I've had HR people on this show. How important do you think it is to put your best foot forward?
I think it's a daily thing too. I mean, that's a good thing you mentioned. It's been a year. We've been following, you know, back and forth interacting online, and I will say, even though you have a large following, you still talk to people and you still engage and you still comment. So it's something to think about the long game of social media, because I think people get frustrated, like, how do I get the following? But the following is not really the main thing. It's being yourself and building relationships with people. Like, you know, looking in the comments here, my friend Marcello Arcele, he actually said, love the bow tie, Rachel. So
yeah, it's the kind of crooked, but thank you, Marcello.
And he's talking to Brett there in the comments. And the cool thing of me and Marcello, we're both in Georgia, but because of COVID, I haven't seen him in person yet. It's been over a year. You know, it's just like I have a newborn, so I'm kind of, and he's still kind of me. We still support each other. We go to each other's shows and kind of help out with things like that. But that wasn't just like a 1 month thing of being kind with him. Like, we're steadily talking to each other. And I think people miss that with social media, is that it's to be social, and you can't really do the mass produce, send a text to every single person that you connect with and not talk to them and really show you're kind. It shows you got a process, but it's work. I mean, social media is work, you would say, probably, right? Because people think it's the easy button. Would you say it's a big part of your day, being kind on social media?
It's one of my missions. I have many missions that I'm trying to achieve right now. But if I can get people to be kinder on social media, if I can get them to realize that you and I are a human being behind that circle, and that the way more than space that they see every single day, yeah, I'm gonna work on that. And I will always engage with I love my network. Like that's never ever going to change. I don't care what number I have. I don't talk about numbers. My
Yeah.
network's helpful. You'll never hear me ever talk about numbers.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not even in my personality to do that.
That's good to
So
hear that because people get hung up on that. There's a lot of posts about getting a certain number of followers, and I've fallen into that. So just like, oh, I hit this number, but it's about engagement. That's the main thing with this platform is that it doesn't matter if you got 500 or 500,000. If they don't engage you, and I've seen that large followings that have like no engagement at all, but
and
they've gotten connections.
you throw that ladder back down to people, and you say climb
Yeah,
up. And I've tried to explain to people that every human being is the same on this platform. Because I see a lot of people that treat someone with this amount of followers and they treat somebody with not a lot of followers. And I'm like, I told my network, don't do that. Because guess what? In 1 year, you might end up leading that person's house. The treat,
hmm,
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in 1 year of an election. And then all of a sudden, people are like, oh. And you treat people the same. Help those people who are just starting on their journey. You
yeah,
know, don't dismiss them. Give them, put your hand out. Help them out.
yeah.
That's what
Speaking
matters.
of putting your hand out, I'm gonna reach out for some comments. We had Marlon actually said relationship equity. That's a good quote to put with that. Relationship equity. Make sure it's good on both sides. And speaking of both sides, we talked about photography, but the book I think is a very relevant title right now because of everything's changed for people. I mean, I think for me a year ago, I was in my office. Now, haven't seen my office since last year. So let's talk about the book, Finding Your Way When Life Changes Your Plans. I know you just recently moved to Florida, so your plans changed as well.
It's,
Um,
yeah.
Kind of break down and this is before COVID. I want to make sure people know this. This book was written before COVID, so you didn't have a crystal ball knowing that everything's going to change unless you do and don't tell anybody. But
No, it came
talk
out.
about the
Yeah, my book came out in 2018. I was doing the book tour. This is
yeah
supposed to be part this summer, and then COVID happened. I'm really the writing was extremely healing because my story is very difficult. And really, Dad, what you see me do every day is I'm taking part of the money, part of the proceeds of the book, I'm giving back to the world. I don't forget where it comes from.
okay
There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. I'm grateful every day. So I've also almost died 3 times, so that changes everything. So
okay
I have a very like, things are okay, it's gonna be okay, we can do this. And that's what it's about. I want to help the orphanage. And that's why I
and
get
it's
up and
lovely you're doing that to me. I have my wife and I we have 2 adopted children, so it's always something. I like them to know like they're not the only one because sometimes they're kind of like we're adopted. Like a lot of people are adopted. It's a normal thing, but it's interesting that you're very open about that. And it's helpful. I think more stories of that have to be said so that people kind of understand that a Jewish family, was selfless enough to say we want to take care of this child, and now you're going back and putting it back in the world. So was part of that coping with that, finding your way? Is that a big crux of the book?
it is a huge part of it. I go back to India and I search literally like for biological family members because that's really important to me. I, that's huge. There's so much going. You might want to read it. There's a whole chapter dedicated to adopt these emotions, and there's things
Mm-hmm.
that people don't understand, and
Yeah.
people who speak on our behalf without asking us how we're feeling. I'm
Mm-hmm.
constantly having people tell me how blessed and grateful I am. I had zero say in the beginning of my life. I
Right.
had nothing to do with it. So that's something that I have a hard time with people saying. And I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my parents. I had nothing to do with it. And my
Mm-hmm.
parents are huge supporters of me finding any biological member. Whatever I want to do, they're behind me. So yeah, if
Yeah.
I could,
That's
yeah, it's something that is extremely important to me. My father was 17 when that. So
17. Okay.
there's a very big chance that he's still.
That's good. Yeah, I'm glad you wrote that down because that's where at the same time as people talk about adoption, some people are like, oh, I couldn't do that, and they don't understand the other side of it. That well, this is what I'm doing. I don't really need to hear you say I couldn't do that. But it's both sides of the fence. There's a kindness element because we have to understand the children want to know the history and the origins, and that's a normal thing to think about that. But at the same time, we'll think, well, hey, we stuck our neck out there and helping you. So it's like a back and forth with the kindness level of you do this, you do that. But I'm glad you're breaking that down for people that don't understand that it's a beautiful thing, but you still want to know, the history of it. So in that journey that now, go ahead.
It belongs to us. That's it.
Yeah, it's your story.
So much taken away from us, right? So much.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to take that story back. We need to take it's our story. It belongs to nobody else but us. So until the day I die, I'm gonna keep searching my roots. And people keep telling me use social media for help. That's what they strongly recommend to do.
That's beautiful. Well, now your journey was about that, but it still talks about finding your way into life changing. So COVID has changed a lot of stuff. I think about work, I think about music, theater, performance. Everything's kind of changed. So if you had to kind of look at that book now, like post COVID, what would you change about your delivery of the book or the messaging, or would you change anything?
I wouldn't change anything. Because reality is, someone had asked me recently, I've gone through so many crises in my life. Some I've talked on social media, some I have not talked about,
Mm-hmm.
which I will eventually. That I've learned to adapt and evolve through crisis. So I'm trying to get my network through this crisis right now, and say that it is possible for them to know that we will get out of here. Because if for 1 second somebody loses hope, it's not going to be okay. And that's what we want to do. We want them to hold on to hope.
Yeah, and it's been officially, I think today's the day, it's been officially a year since it was a national emergency for it. So you're in Florida, I'm in Georgia. We're in two states that aren't the model of COVID response. So who knows how things kind of play out in our states, but it's something that we all have to adapt to and change our way of life. So I want to kind of also have an actionable thing people could take from this, because you're able to build a kind following that supports you and shows up for you and is there for you all the time. So when you were doing that, say it again.
I'm grateful. I love my network. I'm very grateful for them.
So when did that click for you for, say, rewind the tape back to when you first got on LinkedIn, when did that click for you that was an important part of the process for you? Or what made that happen for people to kind of understand as they build?
The human bonds and the relationships, that's what people are missing. This is what they're missing. They want the numbers, not the numbers, but they're not building the relationships, and that's what they're truly missing. And that's why I've been doing my show for a year, and part of the reason I'm doing that show is to highlight the people inside my network so they understand that it's not just numbers, it's real human beings with hearts, with feelings, with powerful stories.
Mm-hmm.
If they take the time right now to build these friendships and to collaborate, then we're going to be okay. And I just don't want them to feel alone.
So basically, what Rachel's telling everybody here is that she actually talked to her connections. You actually would connect with them and have a Zoom call or anything. And yeah, I wish when I was younger in sales and everything, it was more so about having a technique. I was good about reading a sales book and learning a technique to kind of have a slick way of saying something to make a conversation happen. But it wasn't so much the follow through going back to that conversation to make a relationship. And that looks like work, Rachel. That looks like a lot of work. So for the people that don't want to work, would you say that they need to kind of just stop in trying to build the numbers up and kind of revamp their mindset to whatever you're doing in business, you need to have relationships?
You have to have business, relationships in business. Like that's how it all happens. But it's not, I love what I do. I deeply love what I do. And I'm very passionate about it. To me, I'm going to say this, I'll be curious. A real leader does not abandon their team when, you're in the middle of a crisis. It's not what you do. This is, you pull them through. You pull them through this time. You get them through. You get them to the other side. And then, you know what? And then you take a week off. You take a vacation. But right now, I would not leave my nightmare in the middle of this. There's no way. I would do it. It's not. This is a labor of love for me.
Yeah.
This is a passion, and I try to show up that way every day.
Well, you definitely do. I've noticed you, and I got to find the old video I posted where I tagged you in it for giving you a shout out one of my LinkedIn raps. But
I don't know what to
that's
do.
I gotta find it. It was from like a year, almost maybe almost 2 years ago now, actually. But I mean, that's if anybody takes anything from this, when you're on social, like be you. And I know that's you're authentic. Be authentic is a common phrase you hear, but at the end of the day, be a human. I think being authentic, people kind of take that differently and use it in a positive and a negative way now. So just be a human. You're not everybody's flavor. I'm not for everybody. You're not for everybody. That's gonna happen. But for the people that are for you, try to talk to them. This is the only platform I use now, and when I think back of past platforms, it wasn't like a relationship happened. I never really made it like you. I feel like I know you from watching your videos so long and talking and messages that I know you.
You're right.
That's what I like about this place. So, where should people go to find out more about the book and the work you're doing?
My book is on Amazon. And really, you can find me on LinkedIn pretty much 7 days a week. I post Monday through Friday, take the weekend off. But I'm still around. and and I just want them to know that we're there for them as much as we can.
I'm gonna put your website too, so they can see all the wonderful work you put on the website as well. And yeah, people, please, there's so many things you could be reading and so many ways to learn content. I would say Rachel, just to follow her, she has great content all the time, and the show always showcases different types of people. I will say that you get a wide range of people. Yep, I'd love to, guys, because you get a wide range of people. You see some shows where it's just like only the massive mega influencers are what you see on there, but you get all different kinds of people, which I think that shows a testament to your network that you involve everybody. You don't just involve large followings.
Yep.
And there's some people you have in your network that have a small following, but they're really good at what they do or really insightful. So that's something else for you guys to think about. Don't judge your network by the size of the following count. I used to mistakenly do that when I very first got on this platform, but then I started seeing like, well, this person I know is awesome. They only have 500 connections, but they don't have time to go build the network. So you never know really who's in there unless you actually take the time to comb through it.
And that's exactly it. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, hey, this is my friend right here. She's a really, really kind person. Meet her, connect with her, or meet him. Or it's a chance to. I'm introducing them to people they might not have never met before, or even had the chance to have a conversation with. And that's what it's about. And if you're not networking right now in this pandemic, then you're truly missing out.
Yeah, you're missing out, people. And yeah, speaking like Marcello's my partner in crime when it comes to networking online, we'll have Link Lunch. Link Lunch is an open networking group we'll be having every third Wednesday of the month, so that'll actually be next week, Wednesday at noon. That's networking on LinkedIn Live, so when you mention introducing people, that's my way of helping people connect, saying if you don't have live access, you can go live on my platform with me and Marcello, helping you network on live on LinkedIn. So, people in the comments connect with each other. If you're watching this on replay, connect. Make something happen with this. There's so much good information that Rachel puts out there, and she's been around for a while on the platform. Connect with her and actually try to apply this kindness factor. Because don't tag us. Don't tag us unless you really have a genuine... Don't over tag. There you go.
Yeah. I know, like I had a guy, it was so funny because he had tagged me just once, and he was putting something out awesome. And then it's funny because the next day I was like, stop over tagging him. He was like, oh my god, no! But I was saying it to like my whole network. But he had just let me on. I was like, I'm not talking about people who do it one time. I'm talking about the people who do it an obscene amount, and they're tagging people that they don't even support. That's what you and I were talking about. So they're tagging. Yeah. They don't support you. So to me, it doesn't seem quite right. If you're going to tag somebody, are you really supporting the person you're tagging?
Yeah, I think people don't quite understand. I think, and I could be wrong in the algorithm, but I think they think if you just tag that person, they automatically show up in their feed or show up to their network, and it doesn't quite work that way. I would have to personally engage you tagging me. So I've seen that where somebody's selling a product that has nothing to do with what I do, or a whole different country that I can't interact with. I'm like, what are you doing? But they just see a following count. So actually dig into your network and be kind and talk to them. Just, if anything, trade some messages, say, hey, what's going on with business, or I saw you get this post, well, how can I help? Anything. And I can almost guarantee you, I can't give an ROI. I don't know if you can give an ROI, but that will help your business more than a sales tactic where you just cold call people, I feel like.
Yeah, Just be nice. Kindness stands out in this platform because when you have like a certain percentage of people who are kind, a certain percentage who are not, who do you think I'm going to remember? Who do you think I'm going to refer? Who do you think I'm going to go there and go and like recommend?
Yeah,
Those
I agree.
those are the people who stand up. Those are the ones.
I agree. Yeah, that's why Wednesday I hosted a training talking about make people feel something on social media. So kindness is a feeling. You definitely feel when somebody's kind to you versus when they're mean. You definitely feel that too. So Rachel, this has been awesome. I'm waiting to talk to you for a long time.
Thank you for
Following in
having
the
me.
shadows, messaging here and there, but I love what you're doing with the kindness element. And yeah, I'd love to be on the show when we can figure that out. And folks, if you don't take anything from this time, take the fact to go be kind to your network. Go find someone in your network that maybe you haven't spoken to in a long time or spoken to at all. Or a good thing I could give a little secret tip with the happy birthday thing. Actually send a real birthday message. Don't just hit the button that says, say happy birthday with the little streamer picture. Send a message that actually says something. Most of us can't celebrate our birthdays now because we're socially distancing, or we can't celebrate the normal way. So that's a little easy thing you can do just to be kind of saying, hey, I realize you can't celebrate your birthday, that sucks, but maybe you can have some fun at home or something. Just put some extra effort into it because when that happens in business, they will remember you, like Rachel said. And it makes it probably easy for someone to book you for speaking because you've been so kind that they're like, of course, have Rachel come in.
Like a handwritten note. I remember when people do like a handwritten note. Thank you, it blows me away. They took the time to actually send a handwritten note. So thank you for having me today. I always talk about manners. Please thank me about
Perfect. Well, folks, we will catch you next time on Business Benefits. Next week is Link Lunch. If you look up hashtag Link Lunch, if you want to network on LinkedIn Live, Marcello and I host that Wednesday at noon. And then there'll be another guest on Business Benefits. But I appreciate everybody supporting this, whether it's 3 people or 300. I appreciate it. We'll catch you next time. And please be safe. And please do your part to help slow the spread so we don't have to worry about this thing in 2022. Because I don't want to hear about this again for another year. So please, let's do what we have to do to stop this thing now.